so annoyed that I'm like, one of these days, I swear to God, I'm gonna get out of the car with a baseball bat and I'm going to like destroy their. At the same time, do I want to give anybody the power to like disturb my energy like that? No, but it's just like a feeling of, it's just annoying. It's the feeling of like hitting a breaking point of like, I can't stand it anymore.
Yeah. Hailey Bieber reportedly snapped when she discovered that Justin Bieber's song Ghost might be about none other than Selena Gomez. But the track wasn't even the worst part. The moment that really set things off, Justin had been liking several of Selena's photos on Instagram. Not a one-time accident, not something subtle. Multiple likes, multiple signals. When fans noticed, the post exploded across social media, and Hailey's reaction was said to be nothing short of volcanic. And who could blame her? Imagine being married to someone who's not just in the headlines for his past, but actively engaging with it, publicly. But before we dive headfirst into this mess, let's rewind. Because to understand why this moment hit like a grenade, you have to understand the story that came before it. Justin and Selena weren't just a couple, they were a cultural moment. From 2010 to 2018, their on-again, off-again romance had fans, watching their every move like it was a real-life soap opera. Jelena wasn't just a ship, it was a full-blown obsession. And when that kind of connection exists, it doesn't just vanish, especially not when Justin has openly referred to Selena as his first real love. In resurfaced interviews that are going viral again, he's seen saying things like, "I don't know if I'm still over it yet." His tone, raw. His expression, conflicted. He talked about moving in with her at a young age. He said it was tough, really tough. And here's the kicker, he never claimed it was fully over. Just imagine being Hailey, his wife, and hearing your husband say that in public. Let's not sugarcoat it. When you're married to someone who admits he might still carry feelings for his ex, and the whole internet hears it, it's not just emotional, it's humiliating. Hailey didn't just lose it over a song, she lost it over a pattern. A pattern of behavior, of memory, of lingering ghosts that refuse to stay in the past. Ghost wasn't just another pop track, it became the match that reignited years of emotional debris. And when the flames caught, the internet didn't just watch, it turned it into wildfire. Justin's interviews have always blurred the line between closure and confession, and every time fans think he's moved on, another clip resurfaces that proves otherwise. When asked about his teenage years, what does he say was the best part? Not the tours, not the fame, but probably my relationship with my ex-girlfriend. He doesn't even try to soften it. The man flat out says it, knowing millions are watching, and more importantly, knowing his wife might be listening. He's admitted repeatedly that he still checks in on Selena, that he loves her, that he'll never stop loving her. In one clip, he says, "Unless it was super toxic, you shouldn't end a relationship like that." And in his case, he implies it wasn't. He says they always respected each other, and still do. No animosity, just lingering affection. The kind that never really dies. And let's pause here for a second. Imagine being Hailey. The internet's already whispering comparisons, already dissecting your body language, already calling you the rebound wife. Then your own husband confirms that he's still emotionally tethered to someone else. Not in secret, but out loud, on air, in front of cameras. It's not just disrespect, it's psychological warfare wrapped in public relations. And the pressure doesn't stop there. Every time Justin drops a song, fans listen for hidden messages. Every lyric becomes a breadcrumb. And when Ghost came out, people didn't just speculate, they declared it. The lyric, "I miss you more than life," that wasn't just music. That was a heartbreak manifesto aimed straight at Selena. Or at least, that's how the world received it. Of course, Justin tried to clean it up later, said it was about grief, about losing people during the pandemic, a general anthem for pain, but fans weren't buying it. Not when the song's title and tone eerily mirrored Selena's 2014 track, Ghost of You. Not when the emotions in the lyrics felt too raw, too pointed, too familiar. Social media lit up with side-by-side comparisons. People tweeted, "You can't convince me this isn't about Selena." Others brought receipts, matching dates, moods, interviews. And for Hailey, that was another knife. Because even if it wasn't about Selena, it became associated with her forever. And no public statement could erase that. Justin Bieber has never been known for subtlety, especially when it comes to love. And that makes what happened next even more jarring. After dropping a song like Ghost, dripping with longing, he shifts gears and drops Anyone, a romantic anthem widely considered a love letter to Hailey. He publicly stated that he wrote it after seeing her hold a baby and suddenly realizing this was it. She was the one. He spoke about that click, that instinctive knowing, that nurturing look in her eyes that changed everything. And if that were the whole story, maybe it would have ended there. A husband professing love for his wife, a clean slate, a closed chapter. But Justin doesn't operate in straight lines. He operates in echoes, emotional echoes that loop back to the same source, Selena Gomez. Because not long after that sweet tribute to Hailey, Justin was back at it, opening up again in interviews, this time doubling down on his love for Selena. In one interview, he says with a kind of tired vulnerability, "She's someone I love dearly. I'm never going to stop loving her. I'll never stop checking in on her." And just like that, the pendulum swings again, from commitment to contradiction. And the internet doesn't miss. These statements weren't made in a vacuum. They were dissected, clipped, memed, and replayed millions of times. And each time, Hailey's name was dragged right back into the conversation. Not as a romantic partner, but as a contrast, a backdrop to Justin's unresolved past. And it doesn't end there. When asked about the highlight of his teenage years, Justin doesn't talk about career milestones, chart-topping records, or world tours. He doesn't mention signing to Usher or becoming a global icon. Instead, he looks away and softly says, "Probably my relationship with my ex-girlfriend." And if you needed more confirmation, there it was. He wasn't just haunted by Selena. He was still glorifying her, publicly, repeatedly. Imagine being Hailey. Imagine hearing that from your husband, not in private, not in counseling, but on national platforms, on timelines, in sound bites that trend for days, the kind of emotional injury that doesn't leave bruises, but does leave scars. And fans weren't just watching, they were documenting. Online sleuths began compiling evidence, showing that Justin hadn't just moved on. He might never have moved on at all. Speculation emerged that Justin was monitoring Selena's social media for years, possibly even using burner accounts, to stay updated without drawing attention. This wasn't coming from tabloids. It came from Reddit threads, TikTok breakdowns, side-by-side photo comparisons, and accounts tracking his Instagram behavior. People started piecing it together. Likes on Selena fan pages, following and unfollowing mysterious accounts that reposted her content, cryptic captions that aligned eerily with her life events. And in this chaos, one question echoed louder than the rest. Was Justin emotionally cheating? Because if the body is present but the mind is elsewhere, if the vows are spoken but the heart remains divided, is that not betrayal in its own form? Fans were quick to note that this wasn't the first time Justin exhibited jealous behavior when it came to Selena's new partners. When she dated The Weeknd, there were rumors Justin shaded him publicly. When Zayn Malik was rumored to be getting close to her, Justin posted cryptic messages. He even got friendly with Charlie Puth, a man who once publicly criticized him. Just as Charlie started working with Selena, it was like he couldn't help himself. Like every time Selena moved on, Justin pulled back. Not to win her back, not to sabotage her, but just enough to make sure she noticed. And so the whispers turned into a storm. A Reddit post with nearly 100 upvotes laid it all out. This wasn't just a one-time misstep, it was a pattern, a consistent, years-long inability to fully let go. A subtle, emotional tether that continued to link Justin back to Selena, no matter who he married or what public statements he made. And that brings us back to Hailey, the woman caught in the emotional crossfire. Sources close to her say she's livid, not just hurt, not just confused, but humiliated. Because it's one thing to suspect your partner hasn't moved on. It's another thing to have the entire internet confirm it for you. To have millions of strangers echoing your worst fears. To have screenshots and song lyrics turned into digital daggers. When your private life becomes a trending topic, when your marriage becomes a meme, the damage isn't just reputational. It's spiritual, Insiders claim Hailey didn't just cry or yell, she confronted. She demanded explanations. She called out the inconsistencies, not just the song, but the behaviors, the social media likes, the interviews, the fact that her husband kept pouring emotional gasoline on a fire that had supposedly been extinguished years ago. And she didn't just want answers, she wanted accountability. According to some reports, she asked Justin to publicly acknowledge his mistakes, to own the emotional betrayal, to recommit, not just in private, but in public, to make a choice, her or the ghost he keeps reviving. And this confrontation came at a pivotal time, because Hailey wasn't just dealing with emotional baggage. She was pregnant, expecting their first child together, trying to build a new life while watching her husband seemingly mourn the old one. And in the middle of all this, she leaned on her inner circle, especially Kendall Jenner. Kendall, her best friend, her support system, and someone who might know far more than she lets on. Because Kendall isn't just Hailey's confidant, she's also someone who reportedly had a past with Justin, which adds a whole new layer of tension, loyalty, and unspoken truths. And here's where it gets even messier. Because Kendall, despite her silence, might be holding secrets that could shake the entire foundation of Hailey and Justin's marriage. And yet, she remains publicly neutral, quiet, smiling in paparazzi shots, dining with Hailey, and staying close, perhaps too close, to the storm. Which begs the question, is Kendall truly a friend trying to support Hailey through emotional turmoil? Or is she someone quietly keeping the balance? Someone who knows too much to say anything at all? Kendall Jenner may never have said much, but her silence speaks volumes. She's photographed alongside Hailey regularly, doing Pilates, attending Hollywood dinners, showing the world a united front. But the closer you look, the more questions begin to rise. Because behind that curated calm is a woman who knows everything. Kendall isn't just Hailey's best friend. She's part of the timeline, the ecosystem, the tangled web that connects Justin, Selena, and Hailey. And if you trace the lines closely enough, you'll notice something chilling. Kendall's name surfaces in nearly every chapter, sometimes directly, sometimes just outside the frame, but always there. She once admitted during an Instagram live session with Justin and Hailey in April 2020 that she never saw their marriage coming. Honestly, no, she said. I didn't know. I think I hoped. It was supposed to be a sweet, spontaneous moment, a show of support. But for many, it read like something else entirely. A slip, a crack in the polished surface. Why didn't she see it coming? What did she know? Because Kendall wasn't some distant bystander. She had history with Justin, a casual dating phase that both parties have sidestepped but never publicly denied. And now, she's in the middle, close to Hailey, connected to Justin, and hauntingly adjacent to the entire Jelena saga. It's not just about relationships, it's about optics, timing, and quiet allegiance. In 2015, just 12 days after, Selena debuted a small behind-the-ear tattoo in honor of her sister Gracie. Hailey Baldwin showed up with an almost identical tattoo in the exact same spot. She claimed it was for her pastor's daughter, Georgia. But the internet wasn't buying the coincidence. They called it mirroring, mimicking, a pattern. And Kendall? Silent, watching, supporting. And the copying didn't stop at tattoos. Fans pointed out that Hailey's cooking show, What's in My Kitchen, bore uncanny resemblance to Selena's Selena Plus Chef. The tone, the camera cuts, even the intro energy. 2 years apart, same vibe. Fans began documenting the overlaps. Matching outfits, eerily similar Instagram posts, fashion choices that mirrored Selena's aesthetic just days after she posted. It wasn't just the internet looking for drama, it was patterns. And Hailey, despite the criticism, said nothing. Because how could she? Denying it would only inflame the fire. Confirming it would validate the worst narrative imaginable, that she was trying to become the woman her husband couldn't stop loving. That's why the stakes were higher than just a few Instagram likes. That's why Hailey's fury over Justin's behavior wasn't just about emotional boundaries. It was about her entire identity. If she spent years trying to prove she's not living in Selena's shadow, then watching Justin light that shadow up again and again was a public gut punch. Sources close to her say she didn't just cry, she demanded something more. She gave him an ultimatum. recommit, publicly and emotionally, or she would reevaluate everything, including the future of their marriage. And she had every reason to, because now there was more than love on the line. There was a baby, a future, a family she was fighting to hold together while the world cheered on its disintegration. And Justin, he didn't respond with clarity. At least, not at first. Instead, he posted cryptic messages, dark captions about drowning, about rage, about forgiveness. And fans did what fans do best, interpreted everything. Some saw those messages as signs of a man breaking under pressure. Others saw them as passive-aggressive jabs, ways of deflecting blame while refusing to address the root problem. Then came the Instagram unfollows. In January 2025, Justin unfollowed Hailey. The internet imploded. He later blamed it on a chaos agent, a vague explanation that did nothing to calm speculation. Meanwhile, Hailey allegedly unfollowed Justin, though she claimed it was a glitch. But by now, fans weren't interested in technical errors. They wanted drama, and they got it in spades. The internet, as usual, split into factions. Some sympathized with Hailey, others accused her of trying to play the victim. And yet, the most consistent narrative remained. Justin wasn't over Selena. Fan comments flooded social platforms. Justin still posts about Selena. One user wrote, "He's not over it." Another said, "He still keeps his eyes on her. This is not a stable marriage, this is obsession." Others pushed back, saying people were reading too deeply into ambiguous content. But even that resistance only fueled the conversation, because the fact that people had this much to dissect said everything. Justin's art, his lyrics, his behavior. It all came with shadows, and those shadows were shaped like Selena Gomez. Then came the media wave. Daily Mail ran articles about his Gollum meme, seen as a direct jab at Selena's engagement to Benny Blanco. Headlines read like accusations. Commentary ran wild. When Justin posted a selfie with Hailey using a Lizzie McAlpine song about ghosts of past lovers, fans called it a cry for Selena. Every caption, every emoji, every lyric weaponized. The music became emotional evidence. The marriage became a mystery. The fans became detectives. And Hailey, she was still standing in the center of it all, smiling through a storm. The complexity deepened when people began accusing Hailey of emotional manipulation. Viral TikToks claimed she had copied Selena's career, her looks, even her movements, that she tried to morph herself into the image Justin couldn't let go. Others claimed she tolerated cheating as long as it wasn't public, that the marriage was more about optics than connection. Rumors swirled that she and Justin went days without speaking, that she was more focused on her brand than her husband, that Justin brushed off her concerns about his mental health, that Kendall Jenner knew all of this and said nothing. And through it all, Hailey clung to the only thing she could control: her brand, her silence, her inner circle. Kendall remained close, publicly present, privately withholding. Because here's what makes Kendall's role so fascinating. She's not just the friend, she's the one who knows the timeline, the one who could confirm or deny, the one who, by saying nothing, says everything. Fans began turning their focus toward her, analyzing her loyalty. Was she protecting Hailey? Or was she complicit in keeping this narrative going, the one where Justin's heart always drifts back to someone else? And it wasn't just fans questioning. Kendall. Industry insiders started whispering too, about a history between her and Justin, about texts and hookups, about silent nods and loaded glances, about a New Year's Eve trip where Selena was suddenly out of town and Justin was suddenly back with Hailey. Some called it coincidence, others called it strategy. And in that space between silence and truth, the drama flourished. Even Taylor Swift, Selena's longtime best friend, became part of the narrative. Her cryptic lyrics in Question were interpreted by fans as commentary on Justin's treatment of Selena. When Hailey was seen gagging at the mention of Taylor in a resurfaced video, Selena jumped in to defend her. Hailey later said she was receiving death threats and hateful messages, and to her credit, Selena spoke out, asking fans to stop. A rare moment of grace amid a storm of digital hostility. But by then, the damage had been done. The narrative had already been built, cemented, and fed with years of public mess. The bigger issue wasn't just that the public couldn't let Jelena go, it's that Justin couldn't either. Whether consciously or not, he kept resurrecting it. Through music, through behavior, through the echo of what he chose to say. and what he chose to like on social media. And with each move, Hailey was left to pick up the pieces, to defend, to explain, to pretend it didn't sting, but no amount of denial could erase what everyone was starting to realize. The shadow of Selena Gomez had never really left, and until Justin stopped dancing with ghosts, Hailey would always be married to a man whose heart belonged, at least in part, to someone else. For most people, the past is something you move on from, but in the world of celebrity, especially this world, the past doesn't fade. It loops, it whispers, it leaves fingerprints on everything. That's what makes Justin Bieber's emotional timeline so hard to ignore. Because even as he builds a life with Hailey, a marriage, a child, a new chapter, echoes of Selena Gomez still trail behind him like smoke. And as much as he tries to write new music, new memories, new milestones, the past has a rhythm of its own, and the beat just won't stop. Fans have become experts at decoding every movement, every lyric, every glitch. In December 2024, Selena announced her engagement to Benny Blanco. Days later, Justin posted a meme from The Lord of the Rings, showing Gollum obsessing over a ring, captioned, "Girls on social media when they get engaged." It should have been harmless, maybe even funny, but in context, it hit like a punch. The timing was brutal, the metaphor obvious, and the fans didn't need much to make the leap. Justin was still watching, still hurting, still reacting. Even his music choices got weaponized. In one post, he shared a selfie with Hailey, but the caption wasn't about her. It was a lyric from Lizzie McAlpine's All My Ghosts, a song about being haunted by an ex, about memories that follow you into new love. It didn't matter. If Justin meant it that way, it read that way. Fans flooded the comments. "We see what you're doing. This isn't about Hailey. Still not over Selena?" And the more he tried to explain, the worse it got. Because the thing is, when you feed the mystery, you lose control of the narrative. And Justin, whether consciously or not, kept feeding it. Oh, like here, a lyric there, a cryptic post, a vintage clip. It all kept piling up. And Hailey, she was trapped in a story that wouldn't stop being written. Then there's the deeper, darker layer. The accusations that Hailey isn't just a victim in this saga, but a participant in the illusion. Fans began accusing her of mimicking Selena, of crafting an identity that wasn't entirely her own. TikTok compilations showed matching outfits, matching tattoos, matching posts, all just days apart. One video claimed that Hailey once posted a photo in an outfit nearly identical to one Selena had worn just 24 hours earlier. Another suggested Hailey was intentionally adopting Selena's business ideas, such as launching a cooking show with a structure eerily close to Selena's Selena, plus chef. To make matters more bizarre, people started connecting the dots in ways that felt personal. In 2015, Selena was seen with a G tattoo behind her ear, a tribute to her little sister Gracie. Days later, Hailey appeared with a nearly identical G tattoo in the exact same spot, saying it was for her pastor's daughter, Georgia. Coincidence? Maybe. But when patterns start stacking up, coincidences start to look like choreography. And Kendall, still quiet, still present, still choosing to stand by Hailey, despite knowing everything. That's what makes her role so unsettling. She's close enough to be a witness, familiar enough to be dangerous, and silent enough to be strategic. When you're that close to both parties, when you have access to what's happening behind closed doors, your silence becomes a kind of currency. And Kendall, whether she knows it or not, has been spending it. Her continued friendship with Hailey in the midst of all this isn't just a show of loyalty, it's a statement. It says, "I know what you're going through, and I'm staying anyway." But what does she know? And why has she never publicly defended or distanced herself from the swirling chaos? The answer may lie in the past, because Kendall has a connection to Justin that most people forget. Years before Hailey and Justin got married, Kendall and Justin were reportedly involved. Casually, quietly, but enough to be part of the story. That alone would be enough to raise eyebrows. But when you add in her silence, her proximity, and her role in Hailey's life, it becomes something more. It becomes leverage. And then there's the drama around that infamous TikTok video. January 2023. Hailey, Kendall, and Justine Skye lip-syncing to "I'm not saying she deserves it, but God's timing is always right." Many fans interpreted it as shade towards Selena, who had recently spoken about being body shamed. The video blew up. The backlash was swift, and once again, Kendall didn't say a word. She stayed in the background, letting Hailey take the heat. But silence isn't neutrality. In a world where image is everything, not speaking is a choice. And Kendall made hers. Things escalated further in February 2023 during what fans now call Eyebrowgate. Selena posted a casual TikTok about over-laminating her brows. Hours later, Kylie Jenner, Kendall's sister, shared a screenshot of her FaceTiming with Hailey, zoomed in on their eyebrows. The internet exploded with accusations of mean girl behavior. Team Selena trended with 1.8 billion views. And Kendall? Again, silence. Publicly, she took no stance. Privately, she remained firmly in Hailey's orbit. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. While all this drama unfolded, while the internet dissected every glance, every post, every shadow of intention, Kendall remained in a position of deep knowledge. She knows Justin, she's seen him with Selena, she's seen him with Hailey. She's heard the conversations, watched the breakdowns, read the subtext in every sigh. And yet, she says nothing, makes no comment, offers no clarity, and maybe that's intentional. Maybe silence in this case is self-preservation, because Kendall isn't just protecting her best friend. She may also be protecting herself from questions, from scrutiny, from backlash. If she confirms anything, she becomes part of the storm. If she denies anything, she might lose trust from both sides. And so she chooses the quiet path, the path of shadows. But fans have noticed, and they're starting to ask questions. Like, why was Kendall at dinner with Justin and Hailey the night after Selena's engagement was announced? Why did she publicly support Hailey's cooking show when it was being called a clone of Selena's? Why does she continue to hang out with both of them, knowing the emotional wreckage behind the scenes? Because what fans have realized, and what celebrities often forget, is that no one believes in coincidences anymore. Not when everything is documented, not when every movement is archived. The truth isn't just in what's said, it's in what's not said. And maybe that's why this story won't die. Because no one is telling the whole truth. Not Justin, not Hailey, not Kendall, certainly not the media. Everyone's speaking in riddles, in lyrics, in cryptic captions. But nobody's saying the thing that matters most, which is, this is still happening. Not in the past, not in theory, but right now. Emotionally, publicly, painfully. Hailey, by all accounts, is exhausted. Some sources say she's tired of pretending. Things are okay. Others say she's tired of fighting for space in a heart that was never fully hers. And then there are the most damning reports, the ones suggesting that she's given Justin an ultimatum. Get help, get honest, or get out. And honestly, who could blame her? Because at some point it stops being about who did what, or when. It becomes about dignity, about emotional survival, about the right to not be haunted by a woman your husband keeps singing about wanting your child to grow up in a house that feels like love, not leftovers. There's a reason Justin Bieber's story feels heavier than most. It's not just about love triangles or social media drama, it's about a boy who became famous before he ever became a man. A kid who didn't grow up in privacy, but in flashing lights, whose heart was broken not just in secret, but on timelines, who didn't just fall in love. He learned to love under a microscope. And the emotional cost of that kind of spotlight? It doesn't go away. It lingers. It shapes every decision, every song, every failed apology. And most tragically, it shapes every relationship. Justin has been brutally honest at times about the chaos inside him. In his 2019 Vogue interview, he talked about feeling profoundly depressed while on tour, waking up each day and feeling empty, hollow, lost. In another essay for the BBC, he described the whiplash of going from being a small-town Canadian teenager to becoming one of the most famous people on earth before he even turned 16. People praised him, adored him, obsessed over him. But no one taught him how to feel safe in the world. No one taught him how to handle that much attention, that much money, that much pressure. And so he did what many child stars do. He unraveled. By 19, Justin wasn't just spiraling, he was plummeting. Heavy drug use, reckless behavior, legal issues. Disrespecting women, destroying relationships. all symptoms of a deeper wound, a desperation to feel in control when his life hadn't been his own for years. He later admitted that by the time he had millions in the bank, he had zero real-world skills, no healthy boundaries, no guidance, just adrenaline, exhaustion, and emotional confusion. And when he got arrested in 2014 for driving under the influence, society didn't respond with concern. It responded with memes, headlines, humiliation. No one asked if the child star was okay. They asked if the pop star was finally done. And in that broken space, that raw, isolated place, someone was there. Selena. She was there for the rise, for the chaos, for the collapse. And maybe that's why Justin still can't let her go. Because she was there when he didn't know who he was. And love that shows up in your darkness always leaves a mark, but Selena wasn't unscathed either. Her journey was just as public, just as messy, just as emotionally exposed. She battled lupus, underwent a kidney transplant, faced career setbacks, fought through public heartbreak while keeping a forced smile on red carpets. Her body gave out. Her spirit cracked. But she kept showing up. And eventually, she turned the pain into power. Through music, through rare beauty, through speaking openly about her own mental health struggles. Selena has talked about anxiety, about depression, about breakdowns that don't happen on stage, but alone in hotel rooms. She's discussed the trauma of always being compared, always being watched, always having her worth tied to how quiet or palatable she could remain. And in 2022, when she released her documentary My Mind and Me, she showed the world that strength isn't pretending everything's fine. It's admitting when it's not. That's why her engagement to Benny Blanco in December 2024 felt so symbolic. It wasn't just romantic, it was healing. A declaration that she could build something new, something safe, something that wasn't rooted in chaos or childhood wounds. And that's why Justin's response, subtle, cryptic, tinged with sadness, hit so hard. Because even if he didn't say it, he felt it. And the world saw it in his posts, in his silence, in his memes. Meanwhile, Hailey was fighting her own war, one most people didn't even see. Because while Justin's pain was loud and messy, hers was quiet and constant, the kind that builds up in the bones, the kind that makes you feel like you're trying to win a battle against someone who isn't even in the room. She wasn't just competing with Selena, she was competing with a memory, a ghost, a myth, and yet she tried. She built a brand, a beauty empire, a lifestyle, a name. She stayed composed through every headline, every accusation, every whisper, but the pressure chipped away at her, especially once she became a mother. In August 2024, she gave birth to their son, Jack Blues Bieber, and suddenly the stakes changed. Now she wasn't just trying to protect herself, she was trying to protect her family, her child. And that made every post, every like, every lyric about Selena feel even more devastating. Some fans claimed she was spiraling, that she'd lost weight, that she looked distant in public. Others said she was fighting harder than ever, showing up to events, launching products, doing interviews. But the truth likely lived in between. She was surviving, and survival doesn't always look pretty. The internet didn't help. In March 2025, rumors of divorce surged again. Fans noticed that Justin and Hailey had stopped posting each other, that they were attending events separately, that they no longer looked in sync. And then came the ultimate sign of distress, the unfollows. Justin unfollowed Hailey. Hailey allegedly unfollowed him. And even though both later blamed glitches and outside interference, the damage had already been done. In celebrity culture, unfollowing someone is the digital version of slamming a door. And the world heard it loud and clear. Justin, in a rare moment of vulnerability, posted on X, formerly Twitter, writing, "They treat me like ass out here, but I remember I'm flawed too, and God forgave me." It was part confession, part deflection, a signal that he was breaking, or at least bending. On the same day, Hailey posted a blunt message of her own. The stories and constant blind items I see on TikTok are 100% of the time wrong, made out of thin air, come from the land of delusion. She was tired, exhausted, but defiant, and maybe that's what makes this whole saga so hard to look away from, because everyone involved is trying. Justin is trying to stay afloat. Hailey, is trying to hold it together. Selena is trying to move forward, but the weight of the past is heavier than any of them expected. Fame didn't just magnify their love stories, it disfigured them, made them into headlines, turned private moments into public artifacts. And even now, as adults, with businesses, marriages, and children, they're still navigating the wreckage of things that happened when they were barely old enough to vote. And this is where Kendall Jenner's silence becomes even more haunting. Because she's seen it all. She's been in rooms where these decisions were made. She's been a witness to the whispers, the side conversations, the looks. She knows what really happened behind closed doors. And yet, she stays quiet. Not because she's disloyal, but maybe because she knows that telling the truth would set a fire too big to contain. What happens when you know too much, love too many people, and stand in the center of a story that keeps pulling people apart? Maybe you just smile, nod, avoid the question, and hope no one presses too hard. By now, even the most casual observer has realized this isn't just a love triangle, it's a war of timelines, a struggle between memory and reality, between what was, what is, and what keeps trying to be. And somewhere in the middle of it all stands Kendall Jenner, watching quietly while the world turns Justin, Hailey, and Selena into characters in a drama they never fully asked to be cast in. Her silence has become its own kind of spotlight. She doesn't speak, she doesn't post, but every time she appears with Hailey, or smiles in a paparazzi shot, or stays close to someone she has a complicated past with, she confirms something deeper, that she's not neutral, that she's holding something, and maybe, just maybe, she's protecting something too. Because this isn't just about loyalty, it's about what you do when you're in possession of painful truths, when you've seen things that would break people if spoken out loud, when you know timelines that don't match, when you've been in rooms where things were said that were never supposed to leave. Kendall's closeness to both Justin and Hailey isn't incidental. It's deliberate, it's constructed, and whether she realizes it or not, her continued friendship with them is a form of silent confirmation that she knows what's real and what's not. But even silence has a breaking point. And with rumors swirling faster than ever, the pressure building with every TikTok conspiracy, every speculative headline, it's only a matter of time before something or someone slips. Because the internet doesn't just watch anymore, it documents, it archives, it keeps receipts in the cloud, and demands emotional evidence in the comments. It builds cases with timestamps, lyrics, unfollows, and photo captions. And in this new court of public opinion, no one gets a clean escape. That's why Hailey's silence, once seen as classy and composed, has started to look like something else. Trapped. There's a different kind of sadness in her eyes now. A weariness that no amount of PR gloss can hide. And in the moments when the mask slips, when she stops smiling mid-interview, when she pauses before answering a question, it becomes clear. She's not okay, not fully, not anymore. Sources say she's put her foot down, given Justin real boundaries, demanded couples therapy, even threatened to separate if things don't change. And this isn't just about social media anymore. It's about emotional survival, about not raising a child in a home where she's second to a ghost, about refusing to spend the next decade fighting a war with a woman who isn't even in the room. And yet, Selena's not trying to be in that room. She's moved on, at least outwardly. She's engaged, she's building, she's resting. Her posts radiate peace, not provocation. She no longer responds to shade. She doesn't clap back. She just exists, gracefully, consistently, with her chin up and her timeline curated. And somehow, that bothers people more. Because when the person you were once compared to starts walking in peace while you're still stumbling through chaos, it stings. But Selena has earned that peace. She's walked through fire, public breakdowns, mental health battles, autoimmune diseases, betrayals that would break most people. And still, she's here, singing, leading, building something from the rubble. And that's what makes this story so haunting. Not that she's the ex, but that she's the escape Justin never fully took, because whether he admits it or not, Justin's heart is still writing verses that rhyme with her name. He may not say it out loud, but his music does. His patterns do. The way his voice softens when he talks about her in old clips, the way he posts vague captions when she hits a milestone, the way he vanishes online when she's trending for something, joyful. Those aren't coincidences, those are echoes. And Hailey hears those echoes. Every single one. That's why her father, Stephen Baldwin, recently posted asking people to pray for them. That wasn't a post for attention. That was a call for help, for calm, for something to anchor them through the emotional turbulence of a marriage being lived in public but falling apart in private. And what of Justin? He's been unraveling in slow motion. There are days when he looks fine, happy, grounded, but then come the cryptic tweets, the disappearing acts, the posts about drowning, the flashbacks to 2014. Justin, lost, searching, spiraling. He talks about God now, about forgiveness, about grace. But even those posts carry shadows, because spiritual peace doesn't erase emotional residue, especially when that residue is printed in lyrics and tattooed in memory. There's even a deeper, darker fan theory that in 2018, during Justin and Selena's 4-month reconnection, she became pregnant, that a miscarriage followed, that the trauma pushed her into a wellness facility and pushed Justin into Hailey's arms. It's a theory, unconfirmed, controversial, whispered in digital corners. But if it holds any truth, it explains everything. The panic, the abrupt marriage, the refusal to look back, even while never really moving forward. If Kendall knows, and let's be honest, she probably does, then her silence isn't just discretion, it's protection, maybe even mercy. But theories aside, here's what's undeniable. The emotional tether between Justin and Selena was never fully cut. And for Hailey, that's the most exhausting reality of all. Being married to someone who keeps holding on to a version of himself that doesn't include her. And here's the kicker, even if Justin does let go of Selena, of the past, of the ghosts, the internet won't. Because we're addicted to the idea that some loves are eternal, that some stories never really end, that maybe, just maybe, Jelena was the real thing. And everything since has been a performance. And that's the real tragedy. Not the broken hearts, not the messy timelines, but the fact that none of them, not Justin, not Hailey, not Selena, have ever been allowed to fully heal. Because the world keeps demanding reruns, keeps posting clips, keeps comparing then to now, keeps projecting their own heartbreaks onto these people as if healing were betrayal, as if moving on were abandonment. So where does that leave us? Justin Bieber, a man caught between the ghost of a love that defined his youth and the woman who's trying to define his future. Hailey Bieber, a wife who has built an empire on restraint, but is now asking for something more. Emotional clarity, real loyalty, and a life without shadows. Selena Gomez, the ex who didn't win or lose, but simply outgrew the narrative and walked into her next chapter. And Kendall Jenner, the silent witness, the balancing scale, the one who knows where all the bodies are buried and chooses, for now, to say nothing. What this entire story reveals is not just the messiness of fame or love or timing, it reveals the human ache for closure, for truth, for stories that end, not just loop, but maybe some stories don't end. Maybe some haunt you forever. Maybe some ghosts don't leave. Maybe that's the price of being known too young, loved too publicly, hurt too loudly, or maybe, just maybe, some hearts were never meant to heal quietly.